Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It feels pretty good to be back. A lot has happened in the last year, but I wanted the first video back to be one that I feel really connected to and one that I have a lot to say about. And that is, as you can see by the title, how to handle realizing when you're the toxic friend. Now, I made this video for a few reasons, mostly because I have a personal connection to this concept and to this topic. I have dealt with toxic people in my life, and I have also been the toxic person in other people's lives. With a lot of self-reflection, a lot of research and therapy, I feel like I want to come on here and help anyone else who may be feeling what I had been feeling, which is a lack of understanding, a lot of self-loathing, and just a lack of empathy for myself. So what you can expect from this video: first, I'm going to be identifying what a toxic friend looks like and feels like from the perspective of that person. I'm also going to provide mental coping strategies just to help you handle this whole new perception of yourself. Also, I'll be providing internal and external shifts that you can take to break the toxic cycles and behaviors that you may be exhibiting. And at the end, stick around because I will be giving you what I have been doing, my best practices to break my own toxic cycles in my own life. So without delaying this any longer than it probably is going to be, let's get started. So first, let's start off by identifying toxicity. Before we do that, I want to say, if you feel like that you were the toxic person and you were here watching this video right now, honestly, slay. You have enough self-awareness, empathy, and courage to acknowledge your part in somebody else's suffering, and you can understand enough to want to improve yourself to better improve your connections with other people in the future. It's a ripple effect, and the fact that you're here is so incredible, and I am very proud of you, and thank you so much for wanting to make a positive impact in this lifetime. On the other hand, if you have somebody in your life who is toxic and you're watching this, I encourage you to have an open mind, gain perspective on why this person might be behaving the way that they are. A lot of the time, it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with their own self-perceptions. It has to do with toxic cycles that they may have been given an example of in their life, but you also, as a human being, understands the complexity of this life experience, and the fact that you're here is really awesome, and hopefully will gain a lot of perspective after watching this. I'm not telling you to accept toxic behaviors or to, allow people to treat you badly. All I'm saying is gain empathy, understanding that none of us are perfect, and some of us have a different wiring and respond differently to certain situations than others might. All right, now that that's over, what is toxicity? Now, I have done a lot of research around toxicity. I actually looked up the title of this video in YouTube, in Google, and I found pretty much nothing. There were 2 articles on Google about realizing that you're the toxic friend, or like understanding what behaviors could be toxic, but a lot of it was so vague. It was like gaslighting and being unsupportive and being sabotaging or being rude or manipulative behavior. And yes, those are all definitely toxic traits, but I think that there are a lot of other underlying subtle, even mindsets that can be considered toxic in a dynamic. As somebody who has been a toxic person and has wanted to improve, if I look up how to handle realizing you're a toxic person and all that's coming up is how to get rid of toxic people, weed out the toxic people in your life, in what way does that make me feel encouraged to want to better myself? Because then I just feel like the problem. I feel like a piece of shit, and I don't want to be better because I'm just like, well, good riddance to me. Good thing they got rid of me because I am just an awful person and there's no hope for me to improve. That's why this is here. That's why I'm making this, because I don't ever want anyone to feel like they are so much of a problem that there's no possibility of them to get better and that there are no resources available for them to improve on their mindset and improve their connections with people. As I mentioned just now, there are a lot of subtle mindsets that can be considered toxic, as well as the external actions that are portrayed. Like, for example, say your friend accomplishes something really big for themselves. You give them praise, give them all the love and attention, but deep down, you are really not happy for them. There can be a lot of scorekeeping involved in this mindset as well, where you keep score on all the good things that they've done for you compared to all the good things that you've done for them, and you almost use that as a gauge to see the level at which you are in the friendship. Another way is you put this person on a pedestal. You think this person is so much more superior to you, that they can achieve a lot more than you ever could, that they are the guide and you need to be more like them in order to get anywhere in life. You gatekeep. So it's like where you hold back resources, information, because you're scared that they're gonna be better at it than you. Like you're scared that if you give them that resource that they're gonna outshine you. Lastly, the I want it all mindset. It's like you see your friend going on a date and you're like,
well, I want to go on a date. I deserve a date. Like why does she get it and I don't? So I'm gonna go and get that.
And then you hold resentment towards them when you're unsuccessful. And this is all mindset too. Understand, like this is all not expressed. Like on the surface, all of this can look and feel like a normal friendship, but deep down, it's like all of this is happening. And to me, I feel like that can contribute to a toxic friendship, because even though you are externally being a good friend, internally, if you're not really happy for this person, you're not really rooting for their success, and you're not really supporting them, then it's like, what is the point? As I was writing the script for this video, I kept hearing this phrase. Essentially, the dialogue in my head was somebody talking to somebody else about somebody, right? So it's like,
Stacey really just pissed me off. That girl really needs to get her shit together. Like she has so much to work on. Like she's so toxic.
And in my head, I was like, well, yeah, we all have something to work on. And we're all gonna mess up. We are all gonna be the villain in someone's story at some point. We're all gonna be the hero in someone's story at some point. We're gonna inspire people. We're gonna disappoint people. It's inevitable. We have been given each a unique life path with unique circumstances, with unique influences, specific family dynamics, specific friendships, socioeconomic statuses. That has shaped who we are, how we think, how we show up. Have some patience with people. There's gonna be a time where people are gonna be toxic. And I'm not saying that it's okay, but like, just understand that it's not coming from a place that they really wanna hurt someone. They're hurting. Like they're probably really hurting and they don't even know. Or they know and they don't know how to fix it. They don't know how to help it. Oh gosh, this phrase, I swear I will reference so many things in these videos. If you lived that entire person's life, start to finish, you would have done the exact same thing. You would have done the exact same thing. If you were born into who they were born into, in their family dynamic, in their socioeconomic status, with the influence that they had, you would have done the exact same thing. Do not even tell me differently. Oh, baby. With that being said, you get to choose how you continue. Yes, you were given these set of circumstances. Yes, you were born into this life that you did not even ask for, but you get to choose what you do with it. So now I want to give you some mental shifts into coping with this newfound understanding that you might be toxic, like you might be the problem. And you acknowledging that, I think that can bring up a lot of different emotions. And so these are some things that I have found beneficial in helping me gain a little bit more empathy with myself in this process of breaking the cycles. And one of them I mentioned earlier about you would have done the exact same thing. Like just understand that you are just doing the best you can with what you've been given. And so is everybody else. And it looks kind of fucking messy right now, but you're trying, and the fact that you're alive right now is already top notch. Give yourself a little bit of that grace and that patience while you work through these feelings and this newfound label. Acknowledge that you have enough empathy, self-awareness, and courage to make a change, to acknowledge this about yourself, and to decide that you no longer want to be that type of person, and you want to build stronger and more loving and secure friendships and connections in the future. We all fuck up. Like we really do. And I really think that it's supposed to happen. I'm not condoning toxic behaviors. I'm not condoning hurting people's feelings, but how else are we supposed to grow? You know what I mean? Like failure. Let's talk about failure. Failure has to happen for you to learn. If you fail a math test, you're like, oh, okay, I don't know as much math as I thought. Let me go back and learn the formulas properly. Let me do some practice problems and then come back and maybe I'll get a better grade. If you just aced every math test, then everything you put on that paper you perceive to be true. Oh my God, that is such a good analogy. If you start writing an essay on that math test and they were just like, hey, good job, you would think that that is math. If you consider yourself to have toxic tendencies and you keep showing up to these connections behaving in a way that is perceivably toxic, and nobody is holding you accountable, if nobody is breaking your friendships, if nobody is saying that you hurt their feelings, then of course you're going to continue in that pattern. You know what I mean? Like that accountability is crazy effective. I have had friendship breakups. Like I have had a really big friendship breakup. And I'm like, you know what? Thank you. Honestly, thank you, because now I can reflect on myself and say, what did I do? Like, what did I do to drive this person to the point where they were so fed up that they were done with me? And now I'm taking the time to reflect on my toxic behaviors, my mindset, and think, oh, I see what I did there. I see where I pushed the limit on that. You need that. You need the mistakes. You need the failures to grow. This is what distinguishes somebody who's toxic from a narcissist. A narcissist will do bad things, hurt people's feelings, manipulate, and not give a fuck. They don't care. That's just who they are, and you can take it or leave it. Whereas somebody who is toxic has the opportunity to grow, evolve, and break these cycles. All right, internal and external shifts that you can make to shift your mindset when it comes to your toxic cycles. Shift number 1 is acknowledge and reflect. Realizing that you might be the problem is a huge step in this whole healing process. A lot of people, that is the hardest step for them, is to say, you know what, my bad, that was me. On me. Have some love and compassion with yourself during this process. Understand that you might be the issue, and just take responsibility for what you've done and how you may have hurt somebody. Okay, the next step is to reflect. So reflect on your behaviors, reflect on the instance, and this can be done in a few different ways. Obviously, journaling is a huge, big, trendy way to do that. I love journaling. It's a great way to mind dump everything on a page. And a lot of the time you start writing and you're like, okay, I have nothing to write about, and then just stuff pours on the page. It is so wild how it works. Journaling is a great way to self-reflect. It's also just for you. You know what I mean? Like, when you're journaling, it's a book that you're making, so it can be as unfiltered as you want. It can be as messy as you want it to be. It can say literally everything you want it to. Burn it afterwards. If you're so scared that somebody's gonna see it, write it out and just burn the page. But I think that that reflection is really important, just to kind of also compartmentalize all the thoughts that are going through your head. Instead of this jumbled movie of repeating what happened, taking the second to write it out and to say, this is where I feel like I went wrong. This is where I feel like the buildup was. This is where that person, didn't X, Y, and Z. Like, you have the opportunity to reflect in that way by journaling. Also, just kind of sitting with it. A lot of the time, I think that people enjoy running away from uncomfortable situations because we're so conformed to comfortability. Life has really been conditioned with ease. We have smartphones that make everything easier. We have apps that make everything easier. So when we get put in an uncomfortable situation, we literally do not know how to handle it. Like, a lot of us do not know what to do. And so it's like a fight or flight. And then we go into distracting mode. If something big really happened that impacted you or impacted another person because of you, just sitting with that is huge. I mean, literally sitting with it. I mean, sitting on a couch, sitting in a chair, time yourself 5 minutes and just think about it. Just think about it and reflect about you, reflect about the other person, reflect about the situation as a whole, reflect what got you there, what could have gotten you there. Give the situation the respect of your time in sitting with it. Also, another way you can do this is just saying it out loud. I really like voice memos. I don't go back and listen to my voice memos, but there are hours of voice memos on my phone from when I was walking drunk home from the bar. It was like a 40-minute walk and I talked the entire time. Times where I felt insecure, where I felt jealous, and it's like I'd never go back and listen to them. But in those moments when I'm talking out loud, it's almost like the journaling where you compartmentalize everything, where I say it out loud and I'm like, that sounds kind of weird. So like, what do I mean by that? Okay, if that's what I mean, then like, why did I say this? And it just kind of, saying it out loud really opens up, I don't know about the anatomy, but I'm sure it opens up a different part of your brain where you see it differently and then you can perceive it all differently. And as you're doing this process, if you're anything like me and you tend to be a bit hard on yourself, take breaks as needed. This doesn't need to be this overnight fix. The purpose of it is to reflect and understand yourself. And if you get to a point where you're starting to really loathe yourself and think of yourself very low, take a second, take a step back, visit it at a different time when you're feeling a little bit more up for it. Okay, so I wrote out some questions that you can ask yourself during this reflection process, either out loud, you can do it in therapy, you can do it with the journal prompts, whatever. Here are some of them. What specific actions or words of mine may have hurt this person? What was my intention behind those actions or words at that moment? How did the person react? How might they have felt? Have I noticed any patterns in my behavior that could be considered toxic? What triggers these behaviors in me? How can I communicate more effectively in the future to avoid repeating these actions? So shift number 2, understanding the root cause. Now, I love doing this in a few different ways. So asking yourself why until you get down to the root of it. Let's go back to one of the examples from earlier. I am not happy really for my friend. Well, why am I not happy for my friend? Well, because it makes me feel insecure. Well, why do you feel insecure? Because she's succeeding. That has nothing to do with you. Well, I feel insecure because she's doing something that is really impressive, and I feel like I am not doing things as impressive. Well, why do you think you're not doing things as impressive? Like, what is not impressive about what you're doing? Well, I want to X, Y, and Z. And then you just keep, you know what I mean? It's just you keep asking yourself why until you get down to the root of it. Dialectical behavioral therapy is a really good tool that I have also been utilizing. It's usually used for really big emotions. If you are someone who experiences like a lot of big emotions, this is a really good tool. One of the practices that I really like is things like state the facts. When you see a situation, it's how you perceive it based on what's actually happening. So like if somebody walks by you and they don't say hi, and you perceive that as,
oh my God, they hate me. Oh my God, they're so mad at me.
Perception, when the fact is they walked by you and didn't say hi. Like that is it. It's a Tuesday. Like that is the fact. All of this other stuff that you are creating is not real. It is your perception. I'm sure you can find some stuff on Pinterest, or if you Google some DBT therapy prompts. I really like this big feeling survival guide that my therapist recommended. It's really helpful because there's other stuff in here. It's essentially an art therapy book. It's really cute. Not sponsored, by the way, but I really like it because they have different sections like distress tolerance, emotional regulation, mindfulness, and art therapy. And it's broken down into sections as well of like anger, sadness, and fear. And then in the back, it has a glossary, but the glossary goes into what you're feeling and then what practice would be best for it. Emotional regulation, right? For building mastery, you're gonna go to page 68 to 69. So 68 and 69 is build mastery. So you have this whole thing that you can do. And it says, we can increase self-esteem and challenge perfectionism through building mastery or improving a skill over time, which is so crazy because that kind of goes into my example, and the fact that this is what I picked is crazy. I did not plan this at all. Like if you are feeling inferior about your friend's accomplishment, and it's like you get down to the root of it and it's like, oh, it's because I feel like I didn't accomplish anything. How are you gonna accomplish it? Build the skill. And this is a great way to do that. So DBT therapy is really helpful. I do it as often as I can. Right now I'm in the process of trying to memorize all of these different practices so that when these heightened emotions come up, I know how to regulate them in the moment and not have to like pull out a whole book and deal with it that way. And of course, I'm going to suggest therapy. I would like to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. No, I'm just kidding. BetterHelp did not sponsor this video, but one day, who knows, it'll happen. But no, therapy is really, really great. I love therapy. I'm 29 years old and it has been the most life-changing thing of my entire existence. I love my therapist. She's actually my second therapist. That happens a lot. Some people have gone through like 7 therapists. So if you find one that clicks, they can really validate you, help you understand and grow. And if you have the privilege of being able to access therapy, I highly recommend it. All right, shift number 3 is setting boundaries with yourself. And this has a lot to do with your internal and your external world. Understand your limits and your triggers. If you know, God, and this is something that I definitely have done, if you know for a fact that going somewhere is going to make you not the person that you want to be, why are you going? Why are you showing up? FOMO? Girl, FOMO? Are you kidding me? There is no missing out. And if you do miss out, so what? You're gonna make your own memories and you're gonna be in such a different place once you reach this version of yourself that you're trying to achieve that you're gonna forget about it. They're gonna forget about it. Things happen all the time. There are highs and lows all the time. You're not gonna miss out. Set a boundary with yourself by taking the time and space to heal. Take some time in solitude. Also check in with yourself fairly regularly. I started a monthly check-in recently where every month at the end I will list all the things that I think went well and all the things that I think didn't go so well. What do you think went well? Like what do you think went well about it? And then how can you continue to keep that going in your life? Same with what didn't go so well. It's like, what didn't go well? Why do you think it didn't go well? And how can you prevent that from happening in the future? Now, shift number 4, I see a lot of gray area with it. Now hear me out. It's apologize sincerely. I think an apology is, to me, more of a self-fulfilling action. I think people apologize because they want to feel better, which is totally fine. Like, do your thing. I think apologies, some people do need to hear an apology. They need to know that that another person feels bad about what they've done and that they acknowledge it. And I'm like, I'm all for it. If you feel like you're in a situation where you can apologize sincerely, you know, you say, hey, I just wanted to talk to you. I feel like I really hurt you. I feel like I did something that I'm just not really proud of. And I just want to let you know I'm really sorry, and I'm working to get better, and I'm working to be a better person. And this is where the gray area comes in, because I think yes, and I also think that with the topic that we're talking about with the toxicity, acknowledging that you hurt somebody and then giving that space for them to heal and for yourself to heal is the apology. And being a healthier individual is the apology. The way I see it, if you were the toxic person, like say for instance, like I was a toxic person, like I hurt someone's feelings. They broke the friendship off, they burned the bridge, we're done. I don't think that it is necessary for me to build a temporary bridge to just say sorry when it's gonna open up old wounds, old conversations that really don't need to be happening. I'd rather take it upon myself to grow as an individual, to not repeat those cycles and other connections that I have, and to do better. And then that's my apology. So shift number 5, I think this is one of the main external shifts, and it is participating in small acts of kindness. Now, I love this. I think that has been the biggest shift in my life. And I don't even know when I started to realize how much of a change that it makes in my perception, my self-perception, and my perception of the world. I think it rebuilds trust in yourself. It reaffirms to yourself that you aren't a complete piece of shit. Like you aren't a bad person. Doing little acts of kindness kind of reinforce that thought that, you know, I'm not all bad. I'm capable of providing good. I am capable of being a kind person. I am capable, like, look at this proof. It doesn't have to be these grand gestures. It can be as simple as like bringing flowers to your mom whenever you go visit her, showing her that you love and appreciate her. It can be letting your little brother pick the movie to watch that night, highlighting his interests and spending quality time with him. It can be picking up a piece of trash on the floor. Just giving gratitude to Mother Nature and the earth that you're inhabiting. Shift number 6, commit to personal growth. This is a marathon. It is not a sprint. Committing to personal growth is something that is some consider to be a lifelong journey. The goal is not perfection, it's progress. It's taking little steps to become a version of yourself that is living in a way that is more aligned to like you, how you want to be, and who you want to be. A few ways to do this is like be mindful of the content that you consume. I'm talking TV, I'm talking social media, I'm talking YouTube videos, I'm talking podcasts, I'm talking music. If you are finding content that is just validating the feelings that you already have, like, are you really growing? Are you really becoming anybody different? Like, are you really seeing that it goes back to that accountability. Like, are you holding yourself accountable? Have that awareness of what you're consuming. Also, the algorithm, babe, like she will give you exactly what you want. If you are trying to say that other people are the problem, your algorithm will make sure that other people are the problem. If you are trying to heal, your algorithm will help you heal. Like, take a moment to check in on your content and what you're consuming. Like, is it really supporting you and benefiting you, holding you accountable? Or is it keeping you where you are and stopping your growth? And mute and block is such a helpful tool. Like, and I'm not even saying that other people are the problem, why you have to mute and block them. It all comes back to you. Like, if you are looking at someone's page and they're just living their life and they're existing, you are just feeling so and like jealous and envious, mute them. You don't have to see their stuff. That's okay. And it doesn't make you a bad person for feeling envious and jealous. All that's doing is bringing up something in yourself that you now realize that you may have to work on. You're like, oh, I get really jealous when I see this girl's page. Like, why am I getting so jealous? Why am I getting so insecure? Mute them until you figure it out. And then when you're ready, you can unmute them and expose yourself to it again. Do that check-in and say, how does this make me feel now? Do I feel the same? Do I feel better? Am I still a little, mute them again. Go back, work a little bit more, come back, open it up. Until you feel nothing, until you feel, it doesn't have to be supportive, until you feel nothing. Until you can look at this stranger or this person that you kind of know or this friend and be like, nice, like, keep it moving. It has nothing to do with me. This goes into who you surround yourself with. I love Tamcor. I love her. She says, you're the average of the 5 people you hang around the most. This is content. This is the podcast you listen to frequently, like the most. These are the people that you physically hang around the most. These are your family that you hang around the most. Are your 5 people always talking shit? Are your 5 people always supporting you but not holding you accountable? Are your 5 people making you feel better by putting down somebody else? What are their mindsets? How do they speak about other people? How do they speak about themselves? Are they always self-deprecating? Do they always feel like they're bad or that they're a problem or that they're ugly angry, and like that also makes a difference too. And like I have empathy with that too, but if you're in a place where you're not trying to think like that anymore and you're not trying to think of yourself badly, like why are you surrounding yourself with people that think badly of themselves? You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that they're bad. They just have something that they got to work on if they want to work on it. And if they don't, then that's fine, but that doesn't mean that you have to keep hanging out with them just because they're nice to you, just because they're nice people, just because they're respectful. That's bare minimum friendship. That'll be a whole other video. With this commitment to personal growth, just have fun with it. Like we're an avatar. Like this is just a skin suit that we've been put into, that we didn't ask to be put into. Like have fun with it. Dress her up, you know, give her some cool hobbies. Like think of The Sims. Like what do you want your Sims character to be like? You are The Sims. You are the simulation. Okay, for me, my avatar, she likes to learn a lot. She's very curious. She loves growing as a human being. She's always asking questions. She hates superficial conversations. She loves deep personal connections. She appreciates the beauty of life. She stops and she looks outside at the clouds. I have enjoyed the process of creating my little avatar and all of her little quirks. And I just love this new journey that I'm on of enhancing and evolving this person. Tip number 7, be patient and be kind with yourself. Breaking toxic cycles, breaking any kind of cycle, it takes time and it takes a lot of patience. So during this process, celebrate the little things. If you did something, you made someone smile, pat yourself on the back, you did that. And also for the mistakes and for those moments where you may have not behaved in the way that you're trying to, take it as a lesson, reflect on it, go back to the other steps and say, okay, how can I approach that differently? And then try again next time. Progress over perfection. In building a habit, you have to practice and build a muscle and be consistent. And always go back to remembering why you wanted this in the first place. Like, why are you trying to improve your mindset? And what was your mindset when it happened? To where you're just like, you know what? I'm kind of tired of my own shit. Like, I'm kind of tired of acting like this. Like, remember why you started. Remember why this is even happening in the first place. So now we reached the end of the video, which I promised you I would be telling you how I have been working on breaking my own toxic cycles and my own toxic mindset. I have been really understanding my micro habits and have been implementing different micro habits into my morning routine, to my night routine. My life is fairly structured. With some fluidity. So I have a morning routine that I stick to, I have a night routine that I stick to, and then I have a list of things that I want to accomplish every single day. And so that kind of takes up a bulk of my time. And with that, I work out fairly often because it helps me with my mental state. It helps me in achieving a goal. Like I'm trying to run a 9-minute mile, and I think in working out fairly consistently, it's helped build my endurance to be able to achieve that. I have also been reading every single day. I've been really in my solitude. I have been giving myself that space. I haven't hung out with anyone but my family, taken myself on a lot of solo dates. I've scheduled my life to make sure that I am focused on my goals. And this is a big one. I haven't overexerted myself. Like with all of this that I'm trying to do, I also have prioritized what is essential right now and what can wait. Going to therapy, DBT, my nutrition, making sure that what I'm eating, like it's mostly whole foods, consuming a lot less processed foods, a lot less sugar. And then, so that wraps up this video. I am so happy that I finally got this done. I have been thinking about this for like a week, about this topic, about if I'm qualified to talk about it. I was so nervous to talk about it. And I'm just really happy and proud of myself for getting it done. And I want to wrap this up by just saying that there's power in growth and change. So just be patient with yourself when you're striving to be a better version of you. And don't forget to be kind in this process and understand that we all make mistakes. We all have some toxicity in us, and you will come out of the other side better than ever. Thank you for being here. Until next time.